Merry Christmas! Our scary Christmas. Hope everyone had a great day yesterday and today. We're excited to be done with the
We are.
final game, final episode besides our wrap-up.
Yes. We're excited. It's been a crazy year. We're ready to regroup. Let's just do the out of context summary then. I admit they're not the best. They're not the best this time. In this episode, we end up on the Tower of Terror. Gordon officially loses it. All of it. And you, Suzanne. She tries to leave us.
Multiple times. Like, she's all for it. I'm glad Abe doesn't end up with her. But
well,
his situation is worse off.
Thank you for coming back from our replay reviews. My name is Leah.
And my name is Kathy.
We are two friends who are here to replay, review, and analyze your favorite video games. And since Kathy has never seen the games before, it helps me view them through her fresh eyes, almost like I'm discovering them again for the first time.
We hope it'll be a similar experience for you.
We pick up where we left off with David having jump scared us. He leads us somewhere through the sanatorium. On the way, he mentions that somebody called the cops. I'm very curious who called the cops.
Whoever called the cops, they really should warn them about these Wendigos and these crazy things happening.
I assumed that the cops were called because of the mistreatment.
Oh.
But I don't know now. You raise a good point. Was this pre or post Wendigo? I don't know. And then further along, we also see the same Wendigo video that we saw as Mike from Until Dawn. I like seeing all the old stuff. We see a couple notes later on that we saw from Until Dawn. Some locations that we've seen.
It's a great tie between the two games that if you didn't know they're related, that connection is a great refresher.
David takes us to Bragg's office where Bragg, Suzanne, and Dr. Gordon are.
What the heck? Where did he come from? And we thought he died, like, right?
That's your reaction? Not that he's a doctor?
Well, yeah, but at the same, I mean, like, I thought he was dead and now he shows up as a doctor. And then the thing is that this is the guy who looked terrible. Like, he looked sick. The guy was starving.
This is why I question how long our cell door has been open. Because like you said, he doesn't look as horrible as he did when we last saw him. But then later Suzanne will say something to him about like, oh, you must be malnourished. I don't think it's been months since he got out. I don't think it's been weeks, but I think it's maybe been days since he got out. And we've just been losing our mind in our cell still. About Dr. Gordon, Bragg says the deception was necessary.
Was it?
And he also says, I thought I could right the ship. So, seems to me like he knows he did some things incorrectly.
I want to know what he's thinking is wrong. Like, did he know that these people would become Wendigos? Like, you know what I'm saying? Is that what did he think was wrong?
My first reaction, I think he saw the direction that things were heading, that like these miners were getting too strong to be contained. And he thought he could control it. Maybe he thought he could make it better, but he was too stupid to realize that this is not an illness. Okay, so they decide they should go to the chapel, but Bragg doesn't want to leave. Suzanne tries to convince him a bit.
Like,
do you think there's
why does
something
she
going
care?
on there? Yeah, she in love with him or something.
Maybe that's why she turned Abe down so quickly.
Yeah, something about it. We're going to leave, and as Dr. Gordon, I don't know why I keep saying it like that, as he walks out, Bragg says to him,
be careful with your charge. The right information at the wrong time can turn apples to sand.
What? I'm still confused by that.
I don't know, and Gordon's reaction is kind of what I think ours is.
I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean.
Yeah.
Don't forget who's really responsible for all this.
Did Gordon choose to, like, volunteer to be locked in there, or do you think he was forced?
I think he drew the short straw. That's my impression. A doctor had to go in there, and it just happened to fall on him.
Throughout this entire walking through the maze, finding the doctor, having these conversations. We get moments of like random blackouts with the weird like a swooshing echoey sound. I don't know what that is. Do you think it's just him still being malnourished and just trying to make it through but suffering mental lapse of something?
We hear like quotes that we've heard, especially in the flashbacks. It seems like it's quotes from those, so I think it's whatever the treatment they were doing to like erase his memory. I think it's the effects of that sort of wearing off, maybe, and he's starting to remember things. On the way to the chapel, we find the same note carved into the wall that we saw in Until Dawn, the how many days will they keep us here? The number of days tallied on the wall is 9. That gives us a little help with our timeline. Anything before we have to cross to the chapel?
Nope.
So soon we have to cross outside to the chapel, facing a Wendigo on the way. But before we cross, we see a flashback showing Bragg leaving the chapel saying, "Stuff of nonsense." Once in the chapel, we meet Ted Mosley, a father, who tells us about the Wendigo and that Bragg didn't believe him about them. He says of the hospital staff,
"They still think it's an infection."
And he also makes it sound like there's a bunch of people who are alive who are in like the admin room. So there's more people than just the 5 that we see here.
Any other reactions so far to this moment, to Father Mosley?
I kind of trust him, like compared to the rest of the people. I think the fact that he knew that building here wasn't a good idea, he tried to warn people, that immediately just strikes trust between us as the players and him.
He seems to care about what happens to us, and he's not being stupid and pretending like this isn't something bigger than them that they can control with stupid tests and stuff. Wandering around the chapel, we jumpstart another flashback, which shows the mentioned conversation disagreement that Father Mosley talked about between him and Bragg.
He's warning Bragg that he's playing with fire.
We go to sleep. We wake up to see that the police have arrived, and they're shooting everyone. One of them says something about you can't just shoot into a crowd like that. So, oops.
I'm confused. Like, my first reaction was like, oh no, the Wendigos have arrived and they're shooting them. But then it's like, it's not. And then it confirms that they're doing something bad when Ted asks us to help open the door. And David just yells right after we watch the police shoot down a woman. And there's part of me that's wondering, oh, he's trying to put her out of her misery. But at the same time, it's not that it's done with malicious intent with everyone around them.
I think it's a combination.
Okay.
Based off of what we hear Wendigos shrieking and stuff and screaming, people screaming. So I think what happened is the police arrive, there's survivors, then there's Wendigo. They just shoot into the crowd and innocent people get shot, including this nurse because we hear her like in pain. They shoot her partially putting her out of her misery, but partially because she saw that they just shot people, whether or not it was on purpose. And then when David is an idiot and blows our cover, we get shot at because now we're witnesses. So I think it was just a messy situation that they're like, oh shit, we gotta clean this up and double down on the mess.
Yeah.
Our group makes a run for it after getting shot at. We eventually make it to the tunnels to catch our breath. And this is where Gordon starts to just really lose it. He's convinced he's hearing voices. No one else hears them. And then he's kind of agitated, shoves Father Mosley, and just takes off. We follow as the police are trying to break the door down behind us. I guess we fell and hit our head, so we're kind of slow to get up. And Suzanne is like, we could just leave you here.
Come on, shut up, Suzanne.
Suzanne.
Why was she so eager to save Braggs, but so eager to let us die?
Yeah, exactly. Come on, Suzanne. They mention Victor a lot as they're walking through the tunnels towards the hotel.
He looks familiar from Until Dawn. Who is he? I couldn't remember who he was from Until Dawn. And I'm starting to get more bits and pieces as we watch the game and as he shows up in more memories. But yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So he's Victor Milgram, who you'll remember from the articles, the hotel janitor.
Yeah, the janitor didn't have a burning question about him.
Yeah, and it was like, who is he? What is this? And my answer was, maybe we'll find out more, but I think he's just like Josh's character, which I still think is true because in the flashbacks he's wearing a similar like overalls to Josh. So I think Josh is still kind of like using that story, which is a true story, but using it as his, you know, movie script, prank script as his villain.
Because he does set Victor up as someone who could be the potential killer to all these mysterious events happening and until dawn. So I could see where you're going with it, and I do have some more questions about about him.
We're gonna learn a lot more about him pretty quickly. So we see more familiar locations on our way. We find a newspaper, which unlocks another memory. A man, which we now know is Victor, says,
I'm telling you, this sort of press really gets under Brad's skin. I'd advise you to be careful.
Reactions yet, or are we holding them?
Let's hold them. I'm gonna bunch them.
Okay. We then soon happen upon Gordon again. He's being a bit odd, but he does apologize for his earlier behavior.
Now would be a great time to tell the father if you ate human or not.
Yeah. Unlocking another memory, I believe we actually say to Victor, that's everything. And then Victor responds, well now, doctor. And then think he cheerses us. I can only hope you have better luck than the last guy.
Okay, so Victor is doing something that he's not supposed to be doing. What's going on?
Farther along still, some laundry unlocks yet another memory. Victor is holding up a doctor's coat and says, you need one of these, help you blend in. Try it on for size. So we're not really a doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're obviously doing something with the help of Victor that someone else has attempted to do, but we don't know what.
I'm really curious how long it took our character to get caught. Are we ready for scene 3? Okay, now in the hotel, we sneak by some police until the elevator. Gordon is starting to look really not good. Once we're in the elevator, the police take some shots at us, but we make it to the second floor. However, the gunfire has caused the gate to be stuck, so we can't get out. And then someone calls the elevator back down. The doors open to fog. I think it's some sort of gas because some of us start coughing. And soon a masked man appears, but he's attacked, and then another guy's attacked and shoved up against the elevator gate by a Wendigo. We hit the button as fast as we can. I hit the basement. Ted's not happy about it. He's pissed off that I sent us to the basement because that's where the police were. The doors open. There are police there, but then Gordon freaks out and just demolishes them.
Okay, so I think safe to say we're a Wendigo. I can't believe Ted didn't say anything about like, that's what I was suspecting. That's what I learned about.
Yeah.
But also...
he was like, I have to keep an eye on you, but
yeah,
didn't do anything else.
Exactly. So the question is, if Gordon is a Wendigo, he had to eat some human flesh. So who did he eat?
I think it was the cockroach.
Really? You think a cockroach is enough to turn him?
I don't think it was actually a cockroach because I played this twice and I ate the cockroach the second time. And that time I turned into a Wendigo.
Oh.
What the cockroach is, a toe, a finger, who's it from? I don't know. Is that what was thrown through the window?
Which makes a great point because the cockroaches could just be a hallucination. We see them crawling all up the wall, and so we know there isn't that many cockroaches. So whatever he was holding, okay, that makes sense. Also, I can't believe I'm talking about cannibalism so casually. Like,
I also like that he ate it and was like, oh, it's delicious. It's even worse now.
Yeah, no.
It's bad enough when we thought it was a cockroach.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Okay.
Anyway.
Where did he get that
I don't know.
quote unquote cockroach from?
Where'd it come from?
It's Abe.
Did he cut our toe off? Did he cut his toe off?
Does it count as cannibalism if you're eating your own body parts?
I feel like that's like doubling down. That's like
yeah.
It's not a question I want to talk about.
Yeah. What about people who drink their own pee? Okay,
we're moving on.
Conversation
okay, so Gordon is still somewhat normal and yells at us in a weird double voice to get out of there. We don't hesitate. We hit the button for the second floor, but it stops at the first floor. Victor's dead. After seeing that, we continue on to the second floor. We're now at the cable car station for the hotel. We see another memory of Victor saying,
"Nice to know that all are welcome. Even hot shit reporters. Not a word of me in your story, or there's no deal."
Questions answered.
Okay. Yes. The way Victor phrased it in the beginning, saying that, like, hopefully you're going to be better off than the previous guys. Like, how many people have heard of this and have come here to learn about it and reached out to Victor for help? Which is now giving me a lot of whistleblower vibes. It's another connection between Supermassive Games and Red Barrels.
Yes, I have follow-ups to both of that. So there's that news article about a reporter that was assaulted. Obviously, that's not us because we're still you're still here. There's no news. So I think the other guy that he mentions is that person that was assaulted. We come in, we pretend to be a doctor with Victor's help. We talk to Billy Bates. We're poking our nose around for who knows how long. And then, if you remember that flashback, the clipboard one, where we hold a clipboard, and Victoria walks up saying, "Hey, doctor," and then goes, Abe? She realizes that she doesn't know who we are. And then that's when we go and hide in the closet. And so then she and Abe are looking for us. Abe finds us in the closet, and that's that memory that we were seeing at the beginning of the game. And then we get put into treatment to, like, erase our memory so that we can't whistleblow.
Okay, so I was partially correct in thinking that we're constantly getting fed something to repress our memories. And the reason why is because we saw something we shouldn't have seen. And that's why Gordon's kept in the same room as us to make sure we don't remember. Okay, that makes sense.
The Outlast connection. My note is, this game is so Outlast adjacent. We may as well be miles upshire. And this should have just been another Outlast game or a crossover.
Yeah.
Like, it's so similar. So then Ted insists that he stay behind to operate the cable car. We try to do it for him, but he says no. So then I guess we, David, and Suzanne are just free. We get in the cable car and he sends it down.
I don't understand why the father wants to stay behind. He knows he's going to die, right?
I think he's just a good guy.
Well, I don't understand why he didn't go with them to spread knowledge among the people, saying, like, this is a bad place. Like, he could have done something proactive.
Maybe he just assumes no one will listen, but probably he wasn't fully thinking it through in that situation either. But Ted's cool.
Yeah.
What a guy. We're now being interrogated by a cop who is bent on covering up the killing of innocents at the sanatorium. We refuse to play along, and then we're condemned to being sent back to Blackwood Sanatorium. We come to in a padded cell where we hallucinate, I think, the Machu Picchu.
Machu Picchu.
It looks like him, right? There's like the spiky things on him.
It does, but like, how did he get there?
Just the spirit, maybe. Who's he? Wait, us or the Wendigo?
The Machu Picchu guy. I forgot what it. I don't
just
even
say
know how
Machu
to spell
Picchu.
it. Oh, the Machu Picchu. The Machu Picchu. Like, I get he's a spirit, but for us as the player, for the main character, they must have been starving, and that's why they see him. Or is it that? Do you think we've already eaten flesh, and that's why we see him?
Yeah, that's what this game is leading me to believe, is that just being hungry on Blackwood Mountain attracts the spirit of the Wendigo.
So you don't even need to be a human flesh eating.
I think
person.
it might even help you, like, hallucinate in ways that it tries to convince you to eat human flesh. Like, maybe the spirit of the Wendigo made it look like a cockroach. Also, more issues with this game. So in the playthrough where you become a Wendigo, instead of getting the police interrogation after credit scene, we're the one chasing Hannah and Beth from the prologue, which is cool. And I loved seeing that as a fan of the game. But it kind of ruins the whole events from the past video where Flamethrower Guy is talking about tracking the Machu Picchu as it was stalking Hannah and Beth, because unless the spirit went into us in that moment, which I guess you could say that, but it seemed like he'd been tracking it for a long time, so that kind of confuses that, makes that a bit muddier. But overall, I feel like this game is fun. I don't love VR, but despite the controls and the motion sickness, I think it's a good game. I think it's a fun game, and it adds a lot to the Until Dawn lore.
Back to your theory about the Machu Picchu thing. I don't know. I feel like that's a great way to tie this prequel game into Until Dawn. I wished our ending was that we were able to disclose it. Like, I'm curious what would happen if you told the police officer that, like, oh, I'll comply with you, it's not getting out, and then still release it.
I'd be curious too. I haven't seen that, but just based off of Until Dawn, it seems like it doesn't ever get out.
So I guess my burning question in the end is that we know he's there and he has memories. And I'm wondering how much he would retain in that memory if he did become a Wendigo. We knew that Hannah was able to just because of like sheer hate for what happened to her.
That's another note I had, is how we were able to survive with the Wendigos. And I thought back to Hannah recognizing people and having some sort of memory, and I was wondering if maybe the Wendigos remember our character and knew he was trying to help and that he was a reporter. So maybe they're letting him live on purpose? Okay, and then another question we had at some point was about, like, timeline. And we're not going to get super into it in terms of this game, but more like, how long does it take to become a Wendigo? That was something I know we were a little hung up on. So I went back to Until Dawn and looked at Hannah's notebook. And on day 30, she mentions eating Beth. On day 33, she's still writing sensically. Still seems pretty human, but mentions feeling different. And then on day 35, she just writes hungry. So I think it takes at least 5 days. I mean, she was still writing at that point, so I think she's close to being full Wendigo, but not quite. We can assume it takes at least 5 days to become a Wendigo. I don't know if that helps you at all with anything.
I think it does, because it shows how small of a time frame they had from when they brought the miners in to when everything happens. My question is, how long has their main character stayed there? Because it's like January to February, so that's like around a month-ish.
The timeline still feels sloppy, and maybe whatever they were doing to the miners, like, slowed down the transformation. I don't know, but it seems like it went on for a long time. A surprisingly long time. My last little afterthought is, honestly, not enough Wendigo in this game. There's so many good opportunities to scare me with a Wendigo in VR, and I only saw one Wendigo the whole time.
We didn't see that much. We saw so many in Until Dawn, and I feel like it's a missed opportunity because we only get a small glimpse of it, and we don't even learn about the Machu Picchu. So that would have been a great time in this game to expand on it. What would have been cool, as I'm saying this, is if the father had the original journal that later the stranger got. That the father was the one who's been adding more notes to it. That
would be cool.
That would have been like cool. That. Yeah.
But yeah, just not enough Wendigo. If you're gonna make a VR horror game about Wendigo, have a few, right? That was my biggest disappointment, I think. Anything else, or should we move on to KFC?
No, let's do KFCs. So I don't know if you want to guess who my KFC is, or I should just tell you. There's not a lot to choose from.
Father Mosley.
Yes. Yes. I kind of liked his relaxed demeanor. He's very logical, and he doesn't panic too much.
I like him. He did nothing wrong the whole time. He tried to help everybody. He sacrificed himself to send us down the mountain. He tried to warn about the Wendigos. He did nothing wrong.
Exactly. Post-game Kentucky Scorcher. This is a bit difficult for me. We don't get a lot of good close-ups, and so if you ask me to recognize from a lineup who I'm about to say, I won't be able to tell you. and that person is David. I can't tell you what he looks like. I can't remember it right now, even though I just saw him 30 minutes ago.
Yeah. Okay. Do you read your the notes you left me?
Yeah.
I chose 5. I chose Abe, David, Father Mosley, the cop that interrogated us, Victor Milgram, and Gordon. So here's your notes. First of all, you said, is number 5, that's Victor, your favorite? Why is this image so big? That's the first thing you noticed.
Yeah.
And then you said, so we got number 1, Abe. A dude who's probably going undercover as a waiter and also wears glasses. So I take back my previous comment about not enough characters wearing glasses. That was maybe Chris from Until Dawn. That's why you chose him.
It's so funny because I referenced him as the waiter in my notes for part 1 quite frequently.
Number 2, David. You said, a dude with a flashlight shining on his face. That's all you said. 3, Father Mosley. A priest with gold chains? Question mark. 4, that's the cop. A TSA-looking police agent interrogating someone, pretending to be intimidating, but he's not. 5 is Victor Milgram. You said...
What did I say? Good golly.
A nephew of Mr. Miyagi who went down the path of being a rebel and a criminal.
I didn't know what this game was going to be about, and...
Clearly not. You kept calling it the Impatient.
I know.
The Impatient.
I know. It took me until watching an hour of this game and for you to tell me. Otherwise, I would have kept calling it Impatient, and I was waiting to see why someone was so impatient, and I don't understand why I kept reading the N as an M.
Oh,
so confused.
Man. And then number 6, that's Gordon. The dude from Walking Dead. I assume you mean they're the main guy. And then you said, this one's tough. I'll choose. Number 2.
First ever!
First time ever. Even though I think he's a bad guy. Honestly, I think all these characters might be dead by the end of the game.
We chose the non-dead one. Not
bad this time, Kathy.
Yay! First time ever in 2 seasons, which
I think
we haven't done this a lot. But in all the games, though, this is I'm feeling pretty proud of myself right now. Wow,
thankfully, there's no stats for you to guess, so you have no chance of falling on your face at the end of this episode.
Oh, yeah, I did think that one of the stats were going to be about how many dead bodies we see.
It was way too hard to look at this video to track stuff. I was like, there's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
Well,
with that, you won't hear from us until the start of the new year, so have a great New Year's as well.
Season wrap-up comes out, not tomorrow, but next Thursday, and we'll close out the season. Those episodes are always fun. I'm excited.
Me too. With that, Audacity on 1, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you for listening, and don't forget to send in any questions, comments, or game suggestions. You can find all our contact info on our website, replayreviewspod.com, or contact us directly through our site.
Did we completely miss something? Are we way off the mark? Or you just want us to take a deeper look at anything from the game? We'll tackle any topics you all want to hear in our season wrap-up episode.
We also have a Reddit where we discuss anything we're curious about. Go take a look and let us know what you're thinking. Our theme music is Condemned by Eggy Toast. They'll play you out, and we'll be back next week.